About a month ago, I developed some old Ektachrome, some really old expired Ektachrome. It was so old that you couldn't put it in developer warmer than about 25 degrees Celsius. And surprise, surprise, it actually developed and gave me a color image. Although I had to leave it in the developer for much longer, because if there's one thing I know about developing, it's that the warmer the developer is, the less time it needs to work. And conversely, the cooler the developer is, the longer you have to leave the film in it. Which is all well and good for black and white, but color developer is well known for only working when it's really warm, like 41 degrees or so. That said, seeing as I got a color picture out of the old Ektachrome, I wanted to check to see if other film stocks, fresher stuff like Kodak 500T, would also work. So using the timings of the Ektachrome as a guide, I shot a little bit of 500T indoors and developed it at room temperature ECN2 color negative developer. And what do you know, it worked. It gave me a color picture, which is a bit grainy. I was warned the picture would end up a bit grainier, and I think it has. But to be sure of that, I needed to develop a strip of color film, both in warm ECN2 for shorter and at room temperature ECN2 for much longer. I did not choose my test strip wisely. It was a piece of a time lapse, so the ambient lighting did vary a bit. But I tried developing a little bit of this Fuji 250D, which was repackaged in Russia, and I've had a bit of trouble getting decent colors out of it. It tended to go blue shifting quite a lot, and I developed it at room temperature ECN2 for about 24 minutes. So here's some of that color film developed for only 4 minutes at 41 degrees, and here's a frame of it developed for 24 minutes at 21 degrees Celsius. And there's not a huge amount of difference between the two. If you look really carefully, you can see there are a few more details visible in the hot and fast developing, which tended to be obscured in the long and cool developing, probably because of the aforementioned grain being a bit finer if you do it hot and fast. But really, in terms of trade-offs, it's a lot less trouble to do this stuff without having to heat everything up. And so what? You leave it in there a bit longer and you get color results. And this goes against everything I've been told. I always thought that if the developer isn't actually hot, it won't actually work. And now I'm finding out the truth, which is that color negative developer works at room temperature. Do you hear that? Color negative works at room temperature. Now, I wouldn't go around yelling this out if I hadn't tested it, and I've tested it and it's true. You've got to tell someone. Color negative developer works at room temperature. You've got to tell someone.